Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So it looks like you have some questions for me about working in the US. It looks like you're running into some roadblocks, so to speak, with applying for jobs. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. I'm kind of at an impasse, and don't really know what to do.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your situation. What are you running into?
Yeah, so I'm a recent graduate of a PhD in the US. I'm originally from Canada, and I'm currently working on post-completion OPT. And so I'm at the point of now, my OPT will run out later this year, so I'm applying for jobs to start after that. And I think TN is an option for me. For both professor positions or psychologist positions. And I'm looking up mostly professor jobs right now, and some job postings will have various notes about sponsorship or immigration. Um, and I don't always know what to answer. So sometimes they'll ask, will you be needing sponsorship to work in the US? Technically, right now, I don't. I'm on OPT. So could I say no? Do I have to say yes? Sometimes they'll talk about having to provide proof of work authorization under a certain immigration act, which I'm not sure what that means. And yeah, other times they'll ask if you're able to work for any employer. I know with TN it's employer specific, but you have to get one per employer. So do I say that doesn't apply to me? So yeah, there's a bit of confusion there, and I'm scared that if I answer that I need sponsorship, I might, just get X'd off from jobs through HR too quickly.
Yeah. So this is a common dilemma if you are not a US citizen and you're trying to find a job in the United States and you're going through the standard job application process. So I feel what you're going through. And we run into a lot of individuals that have the same question. So
Mm-hmm.
the good thing about your situation is
Mm-hmm.
the way that you're going about working in the United States. So you're getting your education, you're becoming a qualified psychologist, which
Mm-hmm.
is step one, right? You need to make sure that you have the proper credentials. You're going to be able to check that off, and then that's not going to be a concern because you are qualified at that point. And then
Mm-hmm.
the occupations of both teacher and psychologist are qualifying occupations under the USMCA that would then allow you to work under TN status. So you can put that in the back of your mind, just finish your studies and become qualified, and then that's a non-concern. Okay. Both of those
Mm-hmm.
jobs will qualify, no problem. Now, when it comes to the work authorization issue, and that's where this question lies, is when you are going through those applications, most of them ask, are you qualified to work in the United States, or do you need sponsorship? Somewhere along those lines when they ask it. And if you click no, a lot of times it's going to automatically disqualify you, and now you're out of the running for the position and you can't move forward, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
you're in a good situation because you have the OPT that you can rely on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
now, if it's me and I'm completing those job applications and I have OPT, well,
Mm-hmm.
OPT is blanket work authorization, right? As long as it's in the field of study, okay? It has to be related to your studies. So if you're going into the field that you were studying, then you
Mm-hmm.
do have blanket work authorization, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
I would say when you're completing those applications at this point, then you should freely be able to answer, yes, I am authorized to work in the United States because you are with that OPT. Okay. So you're
Yeah.
answering truthfully and you don't
Yeah.
need sponsorship at that point. Now,
Yeah.
did you obtain a social security card or are you waiting for the OPT to get the social security?
No, I already have a social security.
Okay. So you don't need a new one. That social security number will be yours for life. Okay. Um,
Hmm.
Throughout your immigration journey in the US, you move to a TN, whatever it might be, even a green card down the road, you're going to always have the social security number, which actually helps you out in this job process because it's one of the documents that they usually require for onboarding and putting you on payroll. Now,
Hmm.
this is where you some planning needs to be taken is between your OPT in the next
Hmm.
step. Now what? My OPT is coming to an end. I no longer have authorization to work in the United States. Well,
Hmm.
hopefully, and this is where OPT is great. You get in a position with a company and you build a
Hmm.
relationship with them where they want to continue to employ you. Okay.
Hmm.
When you get onboarded, they're going to see that you have OPT. They're going to see that it has an expiration date. Okay.
Hmm.
So you would have that conversation at that time, say, yes, I know my OPT is limited. It's going to expire on this date. However, I am Canadian and I qualify for a TN. And that's where you would
Hmm.
have the conversation with the HR individual and say, yeah, it's an easy process. All I need is a support letter that lets the border know what my role is in the United States. And then I apply for this on my own. There's nothing that you need to do other than providing this support letter for me. I would keep it as simple as that. And then
Hmm.
if you want to take all of the burden off your employer and say, I've already contacted an attorney, the process will be handled on my end. You don't need to worry about anything, and I'll take it from there. And then have that conversation as early as possible after you start on OPT so that you have that
Hmm.
transition in place. And that's where we see this successful most of the time is coming in on that OPT, on that employment authorization document, being a good employee, building a good relationship. And then most employers, once they know who you are, once they know your work ethic, it's hard to find good people. It's hard to find good workers. And they're more than
Yeah.
willing to assist you, especially a Canadian on a TN, because the process is so much simpler than these other immigration, like an H-1B is so much more complicated.
Yeah, that's my understanding. So there's a little bit of a difference for me where OPT that I'm on currently and the job that I'm having is ending in July, and jobs I'm applying for are likely starting like mid-August or September.
Oh,
So
so you won't have
yeah,
authorization.
yeah, I will not. Yeah, so that I think is also like a bit of a tough one for me because I'm kind of in between. Um, or I'll be in between. So by the time that I get job offers or get to start job offers, it will not be under OPT.
Yeah, that creates a little bit of a problem. So
Mm-hmm.
really what in today's job application world, it's
Yeah.
the humans are removed from the process, which can make this more complicated when you're doing this, and it's electronic most of the time. Um, so where possible, getting the contact information from the recruiter or the HR individual who is over the process, explaining your situation, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then helping have that person help you get through that initial application phase. Being
Mm-hmm.
transparent as possible. But that's where we see people get into the hiring discussion is
Mm-hmm.
somehow getting around that electronic process, letting them know, hey, this is my situation. I'm easily able to get authorization through a TN. How do I answer
Mm-hmm.
this question or how do I move forward? And frankly, we've seen people, they just answer yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be on you and whether or not you decide to do that. Then they get into the interview process. The company really, really wants them. And then they say, I'm Canadian. I don't need traditional sponsorship like an H-1B. All I need is a support letter and I can go to the border and start working for you. Um,
Yeah.
and then when they understand the TN process and then it's not as convoluted as the other processes, then most employers are likely to assist with the TN process and don't have any issues with it. So Yeah, that's a tough one to overcome, especially if you're not able, if there's no human connection in that interview process and you're just clicking a box, um,
Yeah.
you can't get past it.
Yeah, okay. So that's, I mean, that's all helpful. I think for certain jobs, that's what I did. I like sent, emails, tried to explain. And I think certain institutions are more familiar with TN or like will have more institutional, like they have entire visa departments. And other institutions I'm applying to are much smaller, I think, and might not have heard of it. So I'm trying to explain as best I can. But that's helpful to know. I think for some job applications, I still have time to reach out in advance and just check in maybe with the HR person. Or yeah, do it like a kind of ask for forgiveness a
Well,
little bit. I
well,
risky, but
well, right now you do have authorization, right? So you
yeah,
do.
I do.
So you can answer that you do have it. Um, and that would get you through the door. And then hopefully by the time you're to the point where start working for them, you've already had the discussion and walked through the TN um, application process and paperwork with them. But I
Mhm.
mean, right now you do have authorization to work in US, so you're not lying at this point. Once it expires, it's a different story, but it's still there.
Yeah, for that question, and of course there's like iterations, I think, that make it complicated. It's helpful to think about it for the authorization question. Sometimes they'll ask, will you need sponsorship? So that becomes like a little bit of a tricky phrasing. But I think, yeah, you've given me a lot to think about and ways to approach this. So this is really helpful.
All right. Well, good luck in your job search. Hopefully, you're able to find an employer that's willing to assist you with the process. A lot of them, like I said, once they find out that it's a TN and they find
Mhm.
out how simple the process is compared to a sponsorship such as an H-1B, they're more than willing to assist you with that process. So, good luck with everything. Hopefully, you're able to find an employer and that's willing to sponsor you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everything, your resources, your website. It's all great. So I appreciate you contributing to helping folks in that way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.